Yakutani is an associate professor at a research institute. People from the pharmaceutical company came to find Yaku to cooperate. After he finished his work, he continued to study, eating some muffins. Yaku looked at the picture on the table and looked sad again. It was his sister. As a child, she had an incurable tumor. That's why Yaku devotes himself to saving as many people as he can. He studied until 3 a.m., set the alarm to sleep for a bit, but when he opened his eyes, Yaku was in another world. He traveled through space in the body of a boy named Falma, the young master of a rich tycoon. Yaku panicked and ran out to sea. This is another world. Falma still didn't believe it, but he must have died from overwork in the old world. The maid cheerfully introduced herself as Lot. Falma asked her to fetch water, saw the 2 seals on Lot's hand and immediately knelt down to pray to her that this was the seal. As for Falma, this is just a burn. After wiping her body, Falma asked Lot to show the family once. Father Falma honored Bruno as the head of the noble royal pharmacy. The Falma brothers all have bright futures. However, when Lot mentioned how to make potions using magic, Falma was a bit surprised. Lot reminded Master if Falma forgot to use it, he would be kicked out of the clan. Returning to Falma's room, he remembered what Lot taught him to use. He analyzed each chemical element in his head and water appeared. Falma didn't know how to stop it, so he could only take it to the window and flush it out. Right when Lot was watering vegetables below, she was all wet but still happy. Falma wanted to try something other than the element of water. Lot reminded Falma to be careful because the old man always asked questions related to medicine during the meal. Falma went to the study room to read through it, but he could still remember it because he already had the memories of the previous body's owner. Going to the dining room, just as Lot reminded his father to ask about medicine. Falma replied fluently. The old man was very satisfied. Tomorrow you will have a lesson with Miss Ellen. Ellen immediately realized something was wrong with Falma. Today Ellen will be teaching Falma about magic spells. Falma forgot to bring the staff that controls magic, so Ellen lent it. Before that, Ellen will model first for Falma to see the water spear move. Ellen passed on to Falma the spell and then Falma started. With just a few seconds of chanting, Falma shot out a powerful column of water. Ellen was startled. The staff broke when Falma touched it. This scared Ellen even more. Since the fall caused Ellen to break her glasses, she couldn't walk. Falma had to lead her. Falma showed me the way without glasses. Now that Falma discovered a new ability, he could see the wounds on her sister Ellen's body. Ellen trembled. Only an elixir could do this. She screamed when she saw that Falma had no shadow and ran away. Episode 2. A few days later Falma received news that Ellen had quit her job as a tutor due to illness. As for the real reason, she hadn't told his father yet. Falma's father gave him the task of delivering the potion and the letter to Ellen's house. Falma went back to the room to check the potion. The ingredients in it were like an energy drink. Falma created another potion for her. Falma went to the house to meet Ellen. She was still very scared, so she wore a full armor and an exorcism stick hanging in front of the door. Falma had to make sure she didn't bring a wand here before she lowered her guard. But then, knowing that Falma had brought the medicine, she screamed in fear. He approached Falma and said his wish. He wanted her to continue her job as a tutor. Falma needs Ellen to teach him how to control divine power in his body. Before leaving, Falma gave her a bouquet of flowers to wish her a speedy recovery. There was nothing strange about sitting at the table looking through the recipe Falma brought. A few days later Ellen recovered from her illness, but when she went to see Falma she still had to carry her full armor. Ellen marveled. His medicine was so effective that even her master's potion didn't work so quickly. After the lesson started, whatever Falma created was too big for Ellen's model, making her breathless. After class ended, Falma returned home and sat in a corner to observe the servants in the house. He uses clairvoyance to keep an eye on whether anyone is sick. Using more, Falma also knows more about the rules of use. In this world, Falma has an extraordinary ability. Falma observed that Lot's hands were too dry, so he decided to make a modern-day moisturizer for her. Falma carefully wrapped it and gave it to Lot. He also gave more gifts to the other maids. They were very happy because they had never received a gift from their boss before. At this point Falma knew a few more problems. There is still class status here, so people in the lower classes have to buy medicine at a sky-high price. In addition, the drugs here are not all effective, so the life expectancy of the people is very low. Falma went to the dining room to hear that his sister was suffering from chickenpox. In the previous world it was a minor disease, but here Falma still couldn't tell if it was dangerous or not. Falma had had it 4 years ago, so his body must have been immune. After leaving the dining room, Falma started making potions for his sister. Falma entered the room to remind her that this was a secret, and had to coax her to take the medicine. However, that question caused Falma to jump in surprise. Falma could only cover up the matter. A few days later, the little girl recovered, causing her father to wonder, but she did not tell the secret of the two brothers. Falma returned to the research room. He wondered if it was okay if he had such great power to use so much. At this time, his father called in. They would go to the palace to treat the king. Episode 3. Seeing that his father was coughing too much, Falma was about to use clairvoyance to diagnose the disease, but his father urged him to prepare to enter the palace immediately. The royal bodyguards waited for Falma and his son to arrive. They immediately went in to diagnose the king's illness. Pulling the curtains open, Falma was surprised. This is not a boy, a girl with the prestige of Elizabeth II. Father Falma entered the diagnosis. Falma stood watching. They did what they call spirituality without any professionalism. The weak queen asked the prince to tell the truth about her illness. He immediately created a potion. Smelling the ingredients his father concocted, Falma knew immediately that it was a dose of opium. It has a pain-relieving effect, but it cannot cure the disease. The bodyguard sent someone to call the priest immediately. They gave up on the queen's illness and she might only live tomorrow night. Falma couldn't stand to watch like that. He turned on his aura to diagnose the disease. That is tuberculosis. In this world there are no syringes that can only be taken orally. Falma outlines each drug, but the composition of the tuberculosis drug is too complicated. Falma hesitated for a moment and went straight to the queen asking for permission to heal her. His father pulled him down when the queen stopped him. Falma started making potions. He locked the door no matter how much his father broke it. Falma outlined all the ingredients for the medicine. Imagining to make the ingredients, he broke open the door and rushed in. He stopped Falma from doing it again. It turned out that he also knew that the queen had tuberculosis, and there was no cure for that disease. Falma retorted that he had a potion that would definitely save the queen. Falma started to continue. This time he raised his wand to force him to stop. Falma erected an entire wall of ice that made him bewildered. He turned to see the notebook on the table. Read through it for a while. It was full of things he didn't know. Falma concealed that he saw them in a dream. Now he believed what Falma said, thinking that he had been blessed by the elixir. He will have you offer medicine to the queen. Falma finished making the patient. Before giving it to the queen, he showed her the things called bacteria that cause tuberculosis. Falma's explanation completely reversed the knowledge of this world. From today on, Falma will be her personal crown physician. The queen finished the potion, after which Falma declared that she would no longer have to fear the disease. After the father and son left together, he observed Falma closely. Every gesture from childhood to adulthood, he knew all, although still now, but he was sure the person in front of him was not his little child. Returning to Falma's house, he gave the medicine to his father, who took it as if this was what the elixir wanted to convey. Falma sneered as he was still so ignorant that he still hoped his father would lead him. Two people shaking hands like two real men. Episode 4. It's been 3 months since healing the queen. Falma is now on the same level as sitting and exchanging medical knowledge with her father. Currently, the science and technology of this world is too poor to accurately prepare the medicine to cure the White Death. Falma was determined to reveal this medicine to the world in the future. Father reminded Falma, Falma's medical knowledge is top-notch, but most likely others will consider him a mutant. He also suspected that the queen's illness was a pre-arranged conspiracy. Falma didn't think so because this disease is easy to catch but difficult to get sick. Now he had to go to the palace to check on the queen. Having just entered the castle, some kid dragged him away. It revealed the queen was about to reward Falma. He didn't care that what Falma needed was a private pharmacy. Falma visited the queen. She was much better. Falma still reminded the queen to be careful because there is no such thing as a perfect medicine. The queen is very grateful to Falma. Now she ponders whether she is qualified to rule the country again. Falma encouraged the queen, who still had a lot of people supporting her. After a while, the queen was well again, and she called Falma's father to the palace to prepare a reward ceremony for him. The next day the father and Falma entered the palace. First to reward Falma's father first, then it's his turn. The queen bestowed the title of royal pharmacist on Falma and gave him the privilege of opening a pharmacy in this kingdom. Returning from the award ceremony, many skilled carpenter designers were waiting for Falma to prepare to make a pharmacy. Ellen ran to help him, but it was so urgent that Falma didn't know how to design a pharmacy. The queen gave Falma a lot of specials. Falma drew out a design. The carpenters start working quickly, the pharmacy will be inaugurated. Falma was scratching his head at this moment thinking about the name of his pharmacy, saying that it was miscellaneous, but the workers heard that it was called a different world pharmacy. Ellen reminds Falma that it will be difficult at first, and at this time, a fat man comes to provoke them. Falma replied calmly, then Ellen gave a scare and ran away. The work of the pharmacy is almost all assigned, only the accountant can't do it. Lot asked Falma to let me take this job, but she was only 9 years old, it was too much for Lot. Back home that night, everyone was in tears because the head housekeeper quit his job. Seeing that, Falma invited him to his pharmacy to work as an accountant. He always agrees. Falma ran straight to his father's room and asked for permission, of course he agreed. He gave Falma a lot of property to maintain the pharmacy. On the day of the inauguration in front of the entire population and nearby apothecaries, Falma delivered a beautiful speech.